1985 911 Targa.
Love this car with all my heart. It turned me into a Porsche file.
It's a really, really nice original California car. But what he doesn't know is my number. You ready?
Should I be nervous?
You should be really nervous.
It's worth at least 500 bucks. Colin.
Hey Chris, how's it going?
Great to see you again, man.
Good to see you. Tell me about what you brought.
Okay, so this is my 1985 Porsche Carrera Targa, 3.2 liter flat six. I've had this car since 2005. I was living where I live now up in Burbank, and we were shooting the show down in Orange County by John Wayne Airport.
Yep.
So I needed a little zipper car. So I was thinking about maybe getting like a 240Z or something like that.
Yeah.
I literally went to 7-Eleven and opened up the Auto Trader. Saw this car, didn't even buy the Auto Trader, just called the guy immediately. Loved this car with all my heart. My dad had 911s growing up, and it turned me into a Porsche file.
Yeah, well, and you know, for a commuter car, they're actually pretty damn good.
Really good.
You know, and all the heat and everything's behind you.
Exactly.
So none of that stuff coming through the firewall in the summer.
Yep.
Well, you know, the basic premise is you've subjected yourself to torture unknowingly by backing your car in here and letting me do an appraisal. So if it's all right with you, I'm going to spend some time with it, go around it, do an appraisal, call you back in here, and we'll have hopefully a not too unpleasant conversation.
That sounds great.
Awesome, cool.
Excellent.
I'll come in a little bit.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
So I finished my inspection and appraisal of Chris's 1985 911 Targa. It's a really, really nice original California car, and a guy from the Midwest like me loves coming out to the West Coast and seeing what these cars look like when they've never been driven in winter. Super clean underneath, no real corrosion on anything, just a really nice, well-maintained car with 120,000 miles on it. But of course, when you're inspecting a Porsche, there are some things you want to look for, and I'll show you some of the things that I looked for on this car. We'll start up here in the trunk. Now, the first thing you notice is the hood struts are dead. That's not a big deal. It's like $75 worth of parts, and you replace them, and then the hood doesn't clonk you in the head when you put your luggage in here. But mainly in a 911, you want to look at the front structure in here and make sure it hasn't been popped in the front. Make sure that the serial number engraving in the chassis is in place right back here. And this car has the jack, the spare tires, the safety triangle, everything's there. Another area to look at is you look around the battery tray, because even today a battery can leak acid. So you want to make sure the battery tray is not corroded, a battery wasn't overcharged, didn't have a crack in it or freeze, and rot this area out with rust from acid damage. This car, again, very clean. I don't see any signs of that in there at all. You also look on a 911, if the hood's ever been replaced, you'll lose this option decal here, which basically shows you how the car was built. This is the birth certificate for the car. So you can decode this and see what options the car came with. It's there, it's nice, everything's in place. So a really nice, clean trunk for an older 911. So a black 911, you know, is a desirable color out of the spectrum of colors that were offered. It has nice original Fuchs wheels. A lot of these have been replaced with aftermarket wheels, and then people, when they want to put the original looking wheel back on, they'll get a reproduction wheel. These are real wheels with real lug nuts and real center caps. Now I know that sounds silly, but factory OE center caps and wheels and lug nuts are not inexpensive for these. The reproduction ones, of course, are, so a lot of people go that route. You know, I went around the car and looked, all the panels look original, everything's really nice. The Targa top is nice, it looks like it's been refinished at some point, because especially in California, the sun will take its toll. But of course, it is a 1985 car, it is a 1985 sports car at that. So it has had some paint work, especially the rear section of the body, both rear quarter panels and the engine lid have been repainted, I think maybe twice. So either that or it just has a thicker layer of paint on it. But I didn't see any underlying damage, so I don't know if the paint was failing or something happened, it got scratched, but not a real cause for concern in my mind. And of course, because there's nothing up front, everything's in back on a 911. So you look under here, you know, it's not concourse detailed by any means. It's Chris's driver. He's enjoyed it. He's put a bunch of miles on it. It was his commuter car, and everything looks nice and original. Of course, there's probably some service that would be needed. I looked underneath. It does have leaky cam covers and some gearbox leaks and whatnot, but you know, oil's cheap. It's not hurting anything. You can just keep driving it. Let's take a look inside. So on the interior, it's all just classic early 911. Everything looks nice, the dash pad is nice, the gauges are crisp and clear, 119,000 miles on it. The air conditioning works. It does have an aftermarket stereo in the dash, and they did cut in some speakers. So it has speakers in the front door and on the rear shelf, which some people would be purists and want to take those out and replace them with something more original looking. But you know, if you're gonna drive the car and you want tunes, this is where you end up. Let's fire it up and see what it sounds like. So there's no mistaking the sound of an air-cooled Porsche. It lit right up, the oil pressure is good, oil temp is good. You know, again, it's a German car. They're not known for failures. These are really bulletproof machines. The clutch feels good, the brakes feel good. I don't see any reason for any concern in here, no deductions to the value from anything that I'm looking at. So I finished my appraisal on Chris's 1985 911 Targa. It's a cool little car. It was a great commuter car for him, and he still enjoys driving it today. But what he doesn't know is my number. So I'm gonna pull him back in here and tell him what I think it's worth. You ready?
Should I be nervous?
You should be really nervous. I mean, you left your car with
baby.
me.
Come on, baby. Oh, and man, I left the keys in it too. That's rookie move.
But not a lot of fuel, so kind of limited my options.
Just enough to get to the end of the driveway. That's it.
So it's a cool car. Obviously, there's a reason you love it. You know, I get it. It's hard to be an air-cooled Porsche, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna ruin your day. But before I do that, I'd like to know what you think it's worth. I mean, you've owned it, you've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's your baby.
Well, you know, I track the market, and so I kind of know what they're going for these days. So can I give you a range? Or do you want me to give you like an exact number?
Well, if you want to do a crap job of it and give me a range,
All right, I'm gonna give you an
number.
exact number then. I'm gonna say 37.5.
Okay, you're wrong.
I was being conservative.
You're being conservative. I think today the car is worth 50 grand. I think if you put it at auction on an online site and you get a couple guys,
Yeah.
could be 10, 15, 20% more than that because we live in crazy times.
Yeah.
But I think any day of the week, it's a 50 grand car, and it's a desirable color. It's in really great shape, and you know, celebrity owned. I mean, can't underestimate
Worth
that.
at least $500.
Yeah, I was thinking 350, but you know, I mean, it's good to be proud. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that because, I mean, like you mentioned, the online auction sites always seems to go up 30% in the last 5 minutes.
Yes.
You know, my way of really gauging what the value is going to be in the end is to see how many people are watching it.
Yeah, because it's hard to find a good air-cooled car these days.
And like you said, triple black, good shape,
California car,
original Fuchs.
Yeah, and you know, I know you're not going to sell it. You're going to keep on keeping on. You're going to keep driving
indeed.
it and enjoying it. So, thank you so much for bringing it.
Hey, man.
Always good to see you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks much.
Take care, brother.